Hello, welcome to Sky Sweaty Record Review, episode 188, the only first listen new music review show hosted by a French professor immediately after leaving the gym. I'm excited. I'm up over 400 subscribers. That's really cool. The last video that I did that was not successful was a rap video. I don't think my audience really cares about what I think about hip hop, but fortunately, I have to be true to myself and talk about what I care about. And what I really care about is all kinds of music, but really mostly rock, hip hop, and electro. So that's what I'm sticking on. And I wasn't really going to review a hip hop album. I have in mind something about the new Nick Cave record. But I heard something that was so compelling, frankly, that was so good and so interesting, I had to stop what I was doing and I had to review Danny Brown. And the album is called You Know What I'm Saying. And that's stylized as the letter U, know what I'm saying, and then instead of a G, it's one of those Spanish upside down pregunta marks, one of those question marks. So before I get into it, I want to do my only feature here, Professor Payne's pretentious preface. And it's really not that much of a pretentious preface. I'm not really drawing on my knowledge of French literature or anything fancy like that. But I wanted to talk about the importance of alternative hip hop. And more importantly, the importance of using the word important 3 times in a row. That's why I don't have a script. But why it matters that alternative forms exist in living music genres. So, when I was growing up in the 80s, there wasn't really any alternative hip hop. I mean, gangster rap when it was coming up, whatever, all that, PSK, what does it mean? Like gangster rap was sort of the alternative to the mainstream stuff, and then that took over. And for a long time, it really felt like any kind of alternative to mainstream rap was just kind of secondary or almost not important at all. I think part of that is because hip hop is such a competitive art form that part of the way that you validate your existence and your importance is through your success. In a way, alternative hip hop is a contradiction in terms, that you shouldn't ever try to be somebody that nobody knows about. But of course that changed. And so, in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, I paid a lot of attention to alternative hip hop. And I tried to get into it. I really did. But the problem was so much of it was just about what it wasn't. So much of it was like, we don't rap about guns, we don't rap about drugs, we don't rap about women. And it just felt laborious. It just felt not interesting. Because it's not interesting to me what you don't rap about. And there was this huge tendency to just rap about the real hip hop. I've talked about this on other channels, other videos before. But if you listen to like a survey of like mid to late 90s alternative hip hop, it's all about the real hip hop. And all that I think is fake. I do think that there's a correlation between the real hip hop and the successful hip hop. A similar thing happens with reggae, I think, with dancehall reggae. Like, whoever is the most popular is automatically the best. And in a way, and we'll get to him soon, one of the I would say the biggest contributors to this problem was the group called the Native Tongues. So if you don't know about that, it's kind of like a loose collective of the Jungle Brothers, Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul, all these sort of thinking man's hip-hop artists who seem to mostly come out of like Long Island or, East Coast, but not from, the worst parts of the East Coast. And they tended to rap about not rapping about crime. And they really emphasized their African roots and all that, but I think it actually didn't help hip hop because it set up this sort of polarity between like what's real and what's popular. What do you like to listen to and what is your medicine that you have to listen to because it's the real thing? And while I wasn't paying attention to hip hop, I think it was saved. I think it was saved by the Wu-Tang Clan, who were just a complete and total, just kung fu nuts, who just came up with their own style and their own music soundscape and totally radicalized and just radically changed hip hop while also bringing it mainstream. And they didn't really rap that much about not being like Puffy and not being like the more popular rappers. I mean, they would a little bit, but that wasn't the essence of what they were rapping about. I think also, obviously, you have to credit Kanye a lot with this. Even though he was a backpack rapper who wore skinny jeans and all that stuff, who sort of defined himself as sort of an alternative underground guy, he got so popular and he changed music so much to be like him. And he never really set himself apart as saying, I'm not like those guys. He wanted to be like those guys, but he wanted to be like those guys in his own vision. And I think right now the current king of that has to be Kendrick Lamar, who sort of does like his most recent albums are really pretty far out there, very artistically driven with a peculiar production that's out of step with modern trap tendencies, but still extremely popular. And I think with the entire rap spectrum that you see now, there's this huge, gigantic explosion of underground rap artists making great music. I mean, I've reviewed some of them just this year. That Injury Reserve record, the not Cedric the Entertainer. You know who I'm talking about. The Frankenstein album, Tyler the Creator. I don't think it's racist to confuse Cedric the Entertainer and Tyler the Creator, but it could be. And if it is, I apologize. I think it's more just funny. So Tyler the Creator and Brockhampton, and there's this and Flying Lotus, just a lot of great records that come out that are theoretically hip hop, but are so much more. And none of them go out of their way to describe why they're not the Migos or why they're not Drake. Like, they don't spend time, frankly, waste time trying to defend themselves against that. And I think that makes hip hop more alive. I was driving home from the gym. It's a little bit further now, my new location. And I was thinking about like the art forms, the music genres that died. And I think often music genres die when they don't have a realistic alternative. So, rock and roll, I think, is alive as long as there are alternatives coming up. So you can have Guns N' Roses, which is Appetite for Destruction is one of the greatest albums of all time. And then Nirvana pops up to sort of counteract it as the alternative, but it all keeps it alive. And they can play off each other. And you can have The Clash coming out and making fun of the Beatles and the Rolling Stones while making albums that fit very well within the continuum that includes the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. But you look at music like disco, you had like popular disco and disco that just didn't succeed. But there wasn't like underground disco, at least not that I know of. Same thing with blues. I mean, the blues died out because it's just one kind of blues or two kinds of blues. It's all the same kind of like way. I think if rock is in danger, it's in danger of not having a mainstream. It has plenty of alternatives. It just doesn't really have a mainstream right now. Damn, that's smart. See, I'm wasting in this video that no one's going to watch. Damn it. I might say that again. And if I say that again, YouTube, my sweatbands? What do I call you? Sweatheads? Sweatpants? My sweatpants? Just don't be upset because that's a really good point. So albums like this, 8 minutes in, I'm finally talking about Danny Brown's record, are really important. And I think they're important for the life of hip hop because, first of all, the thematics are, a lot of it's sort of about selling drugs and a life of crime, but he's out of it. And so he's sort of singing about it and making sure that he's authentic by the weird criteria of having to have experience with crime or the criminal justice system. But most of it is actually inspirational and about changing his life and reaching his dreams, with the exception of some unfortunate sex songs in there. He's got a great style. He has sort of like a nasally style. It reminds me most of Be Real from Cypress Hill, but I never really liked Cypress Hill that much, mainly because the guys are like the attack, the sort of super staccato attack. Danny Brown doesn't have that, but the vocal register is really in that Be Real register. You know what I'm saying? And the main thing about this album is the production. Now, here's my challenge to you. First of all, listen to this record. It's great. Like when I reviewed Da Baby earlier, I'm not telling you run out and listen to it. Really listen to Danny Brown, you know what I'm saying. I can't find a bad beat on this record. There's one beat, one track where the production, it was just a little bit of the same of the rest of the music. But it is an insanely well-produced record. Like, So just it's a call out. Subscribe to my channel and like me, but more importantly, listen to the Danny Brown album and tell me what is your favorite beat and why. Because I kept first I was like, no, it's Dirty Laundry. No, it's Belly of the Beast. No, it's Best Life. I kept on going back and forth trying to figure out what was my favorite beat. And that's a real treat. For the most part, they're interesting samples, a weird sort of twisting, kind of very twisted. It's a very twisted record. The sounds kind of like that, right? No trap beats, no no doom, no drops. An excellently produced record. So I'll go through it a little bit, kind of track by track. Starts off with Change Up, which is kind of like a Western track, and then goes into a track called Theme Song, which is funny because it seems like he's going to kick into something. It feels like he's lining you up for some kind of drums coming in, but it never happens. It's this really nice, atmospheric, not underwater, kind of far away beat. It feels like he recorded the instrumental in the other room, and then he's rapping in the microphone in that room. Really nice. Dirty Laundry maybe is the best. That's the first contestant for best beat on the record. It has the $6 Million Man sound in the back. It's kind of a gross sex song, which is unfortunate. I don't know. But really, you'll hear the kind of twisting sample and just a great beat. And it's produced by Q-Tip, who produces 3 or 4 tracks on this record. Q-Tip, one of the main factors behind Tribe Called Quest, is sort of the patron saint of underground hip hop. But man, he can really write a great beat. So let's listen to a little bit of this. This also has some of his more amusing lyrics. So this is Dirty Laundry by Danny Brown, produced by Q-Tip. Oh, I gotta unlock my computer. My password is Kung Fu.
Once got a house and had money for the room, so we did the Humpty Hump and the Burger King bathroom. Low-key kept it undercover.
I got copyright struck. They wouldn't let me show this video if I let you listen too much to this album that I think is really great and I want you to love and listen to and buy. They're going to copyright strike me. So, anyways, you can't listen. You can't listen to this well-produced album. I'm sorry. This is the next day. I'm in the office, and I was all excited to see all the comments on my video about all the people who were excited by Danny Brown. But the automatic copyright system, it's not my friend. But it's all right. It's YouTube. Just great. Awesome beat. And he has kind of a funny, quirky sound. He's kind of funny, but not really. He's not trying to make you laugh at all times, but sometimes he will. Great cover, too. This kind of weird sitcom cover that he has. With 3 visions of himself. It's good cover. Next track is 3 Tears, and that's with Run the Jewels, but it's produced by JPEG Mafia. JPEG Mafia, who's another part of this great explosion of underground hip-hop that's making interesting music that is unexpected. I didn't review his record because I listened to it and I didn't love it, but I think maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I should go back and review it. It's funny because it's with Run the Jewels, who's another part of this great explosion of underground hip-hop artists who don't need to tell you that they're underground hip-hop artists every 5 minutes. LP, he's always just got such great verses. The song is sort of about caring about nothing, and he straight up quotes Big Lebowski. We care about nothing, Lebowski. He has a wonderful couple lines where he raps about Death being at his house, and he offers Death a blunt and then he smokes it all, and this whole thing about how Death is hungry. LP is a really underrated lyricist. And then Killer Mike is on there as well. It's really funny because his whole thing is I don't care about Trump and I don't care about politics, but legitimately, and I'm not joking here, I've been on the fence about who I'm going to be supporting for the next presidential election, and it was Killer Mike's interview with Bernie Sanders that kind of pushed me over that way. I can't be centrist anymore. I got to go far enough to make Killer Mike happy. If I'm upsetting you because you're a Trump fan, I apologize. I don't have any problem with people. But anyways, so it's funny to have the guy who convinced me to vote for Bernie Sanders then tell me that he doesn't care about Trump. It's worth watching, by the way. If you, I mean, I don't really like politics and music that much, but it's a pretty fun thing that, you know, that he's doing it. So let's see. And then the next track's my favorite. Okay. I said it was Three Tears. It's not. I said it was Dirty Laundry. It's not. My favorite track is Belly of the Beast. This is the most wild beat out there. It is just completely crazy. So it's like, it's got this backward scream. It's almost like Lupita Nyong'o and Us. But it's like a backward scream, and you got like this bass, and he has this singer who sings along with him. Bong Jayar. I don't know who it is, but he adds these great weird vocals. And it's not weird for the sake of being weird. It's weird for the sake of being badass. Like, these beats are excellent. And he just talks about, like, you know, I take a piss in the sink where you do your dishes. I like that. I think that's a great way of expressing dominance, and a sort of unexpected way. So just listen to this insane beat. Okay, so here I am reacting. You're gonna see me. I'm gonna actually imitate that crazy sound. There I am making that weird inhale that you hear. You just have to go listen to that song, okay? It's super good, and pretty soon I'm gonna be laughing about the fact that he talks about taking a piss in your sink where you do your dishes. I just find that to be a very funny image. And really, I think in this video, now that I think about it, I actually kind of downplayed the amount of humor in it. Obviously, I find something quite funny. I think he made some other metaphor that was really quite sharp, but I don't remember what it is, and now I can't hear it. So anyways, let's get back to me in the video. Copyright. I eat so much shrimp, I get iodine poison. He's great. I guess that was the joke. So that's my winner, best track. Savage Nomad, that's the track I didn't like that much, not too compelling. Best Life, again, Q-Tip. Just listen again, and don't listen on a stupid computer. Don't listen on a stupid little thing. Get headphones or get a hi-fi. Listen to this record. Really listen to this beat. It's got these great drums, kind of like echoing in both sides. Just super excellent beat. He talks about the war on drugs being a chess game and how he was a pawn, which I think is very useful to know because it's true. Drug dealers are pawns. And the king, not to sound too much like Killer Mike, but the king was Ronald Reagan. Know What I'm Saying was another song with Obong Gayar, who sounds kind of like Curtis Mayfield. I don't know why. I had kind of a Curtis Mayfield vibe on this whole record. Maybe it's just because it's nasally or high-toned. I don't know what. And then Negro Spiritual, which is produced by Flying Lotus. I bought this record, by the way. It's a good record, but I mainly got it because it's got that, which I think is cool. I'm a nerd. Really nice guitar, kind of like twisting, turning guitar line that leads everything. JPEG Mafia doesn't produce but does appear. He has a strong verse. Very compelling beat. Very funny lyrics. These are the funniest lyrics on the album. Then Shine, another Q-Tip. Oh no, wait. Does Shine do Q? No, he does not. I apologize. That's by this other guy who I don't know who he is. Some guy named Paul White who does a lot of the good beats on this. Another great beat, another echoing beat. Kind of an unexpected guest with his Blood Orange, who's some kind of sort of indie electro guy who I almost reviewed before. And then ends with Q-Tip's most insane beat. And this is some native tongue stuff right here. Like, this goes back to like the era when one of the main alternatives to hip hop was the jazz hip hop that popped up, you know, jazzy. Like, listen to this horn that he samples here, and how much movement that the sample has here.
So I'm hunch, big butt, slim waist, and our hair long. Pass it down to me like a heirloom. The Henny got me wetter than whale piss. I died for this shit like Elvis. Boss up and shake down.
He's really creative for rhyming. See how it stays low, the horn stays low, and then. So there you go. You tell me, Sweatpants, what is your favorite beat off the Danny Brown album? It's awesome. What do you think about my theory about hip hop being saved by alternative hip hop? I think it might be. I think that might be why hip hop is so long living and why it will live as long as rock and roll music, and longer than the blues and longer than disco. Not to mix those two together, but hey. And don't tell me that disco still exists in the form of electronic dance music. I know. but it's not the same thing. It's not Donna Summer. Okay, well then, wow, that was a long video. Well, I guess I spent 10 minutes pontificating. All right, until next time, where I'll probably talk to you about why I'm not going to review the Nick Cave album. There's the camera.